It's time to earn some extra credit, everybody! The show dedicated to a new topic every episode filled with fun facts and very interesting questions. No matter what you think, learn, or already know, you only have to make the closest guesses to earn yourself some extra credit. Here today I have Will, and I have Josh. My boys
I am sick. If you make me laugh, I will be coughing the entire time. Not yet.
Not yet, I said.
Patience.
Today's subject, everybody, is trees. They give us shade, leaf piles in the fall. Oh yeah, and also like a bunch of oxygen, with one mature tree typically giving us 100,000 liters of oxygen per year. And for context, 100,000 liters of water would be the same as about 500 car washes.
Will, I feel like you're going to be oddly good at this one just because you plant.
You know,
yeah,
you
sure.
garden a couple plants. You have some plants in your house. Does not make you good at tree facts.
I feel like you're going to be good at trees.
Well, you cooked a meal once. Wouldn't you know everything about food?
Players, are you ready to learn about trees?
Yes.
Tell me about trees.
Let's begin. Your first tree, the maple tree. Maple trees have been used to create instruments, dyes, but most famously, they're most used to gather sap and make maple syrup. In a way, syrup takes tens of years to produce. In order to make sure a maple tree can live a healthy life during and after being tapped for sap, they should be at minimum 30 years old, preferably even 50 to 60 years old. 1 gallon of syrup is made up of about 40 gallons of sap, and it takes about 1 run or 1 day to gather 1 gallon of sap, meaning it takes about 40 days to produce 1 gallon of syrup. My question for you players is, in 2024, how much maple syrup did Canada produce? I'm looking for any number amount here in gallons. And as a reminder, 40 gallons of sap makes 1 gallon of syrup.
This is the one question you could ask that I actually wouldn't know. Everything you said, I learned on a tour about making maple syrup at the Von Trapp Family Lodge in Vermont.
What? What?
Like
Yes.
the one from Sound of Music?
Yes. They moved to the U.S. and they started tapping maple trees. I'm sitting here like, oh, he's going to ask again. And he goes, how much in Canada? And I'm like, well, great. Go on.
Well, they think, here's a fun fact for you, bamboo is not a tree. Although it may resemble a tree due to its size and appearance, it's scientifically classified as a grass.
What?
It's a grass. All right, I have everybody's answers. Will, you think that in 2024, Canada produced a total of 25 million gallons of maple syrup.
I believe it's one of their largest exports.
I've heard
It's
quite a
gotta
lot
be.
about it out there. And Josh, you said you think it's just 1 million gallons of syrup in 2024. Players, in 2024, Canada produced a total of 19.9 million gallons
Will.
of maple syrup. This is about a 92% increase from the year before, and is currently the most that they have ever harvested within 1 year. Your next tree, the larch tree. Larch trees, also known as tamaracks, may grow green pines like any other pine tree. However, unlike those typical evergreen trees, the larch tree doesn't keep its needles year-round. In the fall, their needles become a shade of yellow and shed those needles like most other trees would.
Whoa.
Another fun fact, their low resin content and tendency to self-prune and their 6-inch thick bark near the base helps protect this tree from fire. Their wood is also naturally resistant to rot and used to build bog bridges on hiking trails. My question for you, players, is what year was the first portable fire extinguisher invented?
Sorry, what?
You're an idiot.
I'm looking for any year here as an answer.
I'm just more
extinguisher?
pissed you weren't
What is
asking
it?
about bog bridges because last summer I actually went on a tour about bog bridges too.
All right, I've got both your answers. Will, you sent in 1923. There was a moment that you also thought 500 million BC, but we went with
In the Neolithic era. I don't know if that's real. Is that real?
But
Oh,
we're
yeah. The period where humans began began farming and domesticating animals. Sorry, continue, Zane.
But we're going with 1923.
Guess so.
And Josh, you submitted 1830. And then you did at one point say, or possibly 1297 BC in the time of Ramses II. But
Yes, indeed. He was a very smart man.
I think I'm taking both of your AD answers here. He ruled for a while, didn't he? So he could have. Literally like the longest ruler of that era. So
He was known as Long Boy Ramses.
Long Boy Ramses. My favorite new Girl Scout cookie iteration this year, the Long Boy Ramses.
Long Boy Ramses do sound like a Girl Scout cookie.
I've got my box
really
of
go with
Thin
some
Mints and Long Boy Ramses.
You want Thin Mints or Long Boy Ramses?
Want a Do-si-do or a Long Boy Ramses?
Players, the answer. The first portable fire extinguisher was invented by British Captain George William Manby in 1818.
Wow! Oh my gosh, you were close.
early.
Very close. That's a point to Josh. It used a potassium carbonate solution propelled by compressed air. All right, players, here's your next tree. Aspen trees. One aspen tree is actually just a small part of a larger organism. With a main life force in an extensive root system beneath the soil, a stand or group of aspen trees is considered one singular organism. Each tree is actually a genetic replica of another within a stand, hence why they might be called a clone of aspen. Utah's Fish Lake National Forest has both the oldest and heaviest living organism like this at 80,000 years old, weighing around 6,600 tons. My question for you players is, what is the record for the most children to one person?
Oh no,
I
I've heard this. I read about this one.
Well,
Couple of Tonys.
a couple of Tonys, if you ask me.
Couple of Tonys, you know.
I think they had a couple of Tonys, if you ask me. All right, I got everybody's answers. Will, you think that this girl had 48 children, which is
Correct.
insane to imagine, which is crazy because Josh, you said 100 children.
Yeah.
A triple digit number.
Yeah.
Players, the correct answer, the record for the most children born to one person, Valentina Vasilyeva, managed to have 69 total children between 1725 and 1765. So 69 children over the total of 40 years. She had 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets.
Wait, quadruplets.
Four different sets of quadruplets.
Quadruplets.
This was wildly close between your answers, but that does fall to Will. But you guys were very close in distance.
Even worse than I thought.
All right, players, it's time for your first mini game. For this mini game, I'm not gonna explain how it works. I'm sure you'll catch on. All I'm asking players is, if this man was a tree, how old would he be?
Who's that?
Wait, if he was a tree, how
we
old
just-
would he be?
If he was a tree, how old would he be?
I've got your answers. Will,
Come on.
you think that this man here would be 42 years old?
In tree years.
In tree years, of course.
Tree years.
Josh, in tree years, of course, you think this man would be 8 years old. Players,
Oh, how many rings does he have? Dang it.
players, this
That's what I
is
was going
former
for.
NFL quarterback Tom Brady. If he was a tree, he would be 7 years old. He has 7 Super Bowl wins in his career,
No, I got close without
giving
it.
him 7 Super Bowl rings. That is a point for Josh.
I got so lucky off that just counting the letters of his name.
You didn't even base it off the rings. You based it off how many
My mind
letters.
first went. I didn't even think about the Super Bowls.
Unreal.
That's wild.
Unreal.
Yeah, I just went by how many letters are in his name.
Thought you knew. All right, players, your next tree, dwarf willow trees. Growing only a mere 1 to 6 centimeters tall, the dwarf willow tree, also known as the snowbed willow, is the world's tiniest tree. Despite not having the appearance of a tree, its single wooden stem with lateral branches leads most to classify it as a tree. Its height makes it great at surviving in Arctic and subarctic environments, as staying low to the ground allows it to avoid the worst of the cold winds. At a full height and width of 6 centimeters by 2 centimeters, You could create an entire mini forest of these trees in your windowsill. My question for you, players, is what's something that's also approximately 6 centimeters tall? You can combine things. You can give a multiple of something. There are only 2 types of answers I'm not accepting here. You can't just say a 6 centimeter tall something, and you can't just say another dwarf willow tree. Whatever the height is of what you give me, according to Google, is what I'm running with here. Well, they think, here's a fun fact for you. There are currently 60,065 tree species currently known to science, and there's a rough estimate that there are about 3.04 trillion trees in the world, approximately 400 trees per person. Okay, Josh. I think that there's something Josh thought was part of the question that isn't, but I like that he included it anyway. Will, for something that's about 6 centimeters tall, you said a bar of Irish Spring soap, which I will give you the benefit and assume you mean the long way.
Yeah, this one's sitting upwards.
That is about 3.5 inches, close to 9 centimeters. Josh, you said 2 nail polish bottles side by side for width, and then the height of one of them for height.
I thought there was
wow.
I just really like that you're like, I'll take 2 of them, but just take the height of one. Which, fun fact, players, is also 3.5 inches, which means that you had the exact same answer. So you both get the point because you tied.
Wow. Dude, what the heck? Dude, high five, dude. What the heck?
You're an hour away, Josh. I can't high five you.
You could. You're just not dedicated enough. Next question, please.
If he cared enough, he would.
The object, when I look up on Google, an egg would be about 6 centimeters tall as an example.
What? That's so simple. What?
Yeah. All right, players, your next tree is the rainbow eucalyptus tree. The beautiful rainbow eucalyptus tree looks like the canvas of a beautiful painting. It gains its color from shedding its bark, revealing a bright green underlayer that changes color over time. A combination of air and sunlight react with the tree, turning the green into shades of red, orange, blue, purple, and even pink. As it sheds intermittently, its colors are constantly changing and will never repeat the same pattern. My question for you, players, is how many paintings did Picasso paint during his lifetime?
Oh, come on.
I'm looking for any number here as an answer. And I will let you know, he lived until the old age of 91. All right, I got everybody's answers. Will, you think during his lifetime he was able to make a total of 113 paintings?
Yeah.
Josh, on the other hand, said you think he made a total of 3,000 paintings.
Oh. Yeah. I thought that I kind of overshot it.
The answer, during his lifetime, Pablo Picasso was able to paint a total of around 13,500 paintings.
Oh my nuts, dude. Oh my nuts.
Are you serious?
That means
that many?
That means he created on average 148 paintings a year from the year he was born. So Josh, fun fact, your 3,000 guess earned you a point.
Yes, it did.
You were only 10,000 off.
Real close.
I was 13,000 off.
To be fair. Players, your next tree, the banyan tree. Banyans, considered one of the highest oxygen-producing trees, are also considered the biggest trees in terms of area that they cover. The Great Banyan in Kolkata, India, is the oldest banyan alive today, covering over 4.7 acres, which is around 4.5 football fields, and can shelter 20,000 people. It's one of more than 750 species of fig trees, each of which is pollinated only by its own species of wasps that breed only inside the figs of their partner tree. It's also been considered the strangler tree. As the seed grows on the host, their roots will slowly wrap around the other tree until the host is strangled and dies. However, even after this happens, many forms of wildlife turn hollowed out sections into their new homes. My question for you, players, is what year did the Boston Strangler finally go to jail?
I knew it. It was the Boston Strangler. I did. I was like, he said strangler tree, and I was like, it's gonna be the Boston Strangler.
All right, I got both your answers. Will, you think he was arrested finally in 1898.
I don't actually know much about the Boston Strangler.
And Josh, you guessed he was finally arrested in 1950. The answer is the Boston Strangler, aka Albert DeSalvo, was officially sentenced to life in prison in 1967. So that's a point for Josh.
That's crazy.
Fun facts, he confessed to being the Boston Strangler, but was only ever convicted of unrelated crimes. In February, the same year he was arrested, he and 2 fellow inmates escaped the prison, triggering a full-scale manhunt. Immediately after his escape, he disguised himself as a U.S. Navy petty officer 3rd class, but gave himself up the very next day. Players, it's time for your next minigame. For this minigame, all I'm asking is, if the song Single Ladies by Beyonce was a tree, how old would it be?
Did they mention ring? If the song was a tree, how old would it be? Is that what we're asking?
If the song Single Ladies by Beyonce was a tree, how old would it be? All right, I got your answers. Will, you said 0 years old.
Well, there's no rings.
So clever. That's so clever.
Single ladies, no rings.
So clever. I think you got
Josh,
it.
you said 10.
I just guessed on how many times they said it.
Hey, wait.
If the song Single Ladies by Beyonce was a tree, it would be 18 years old, as the word ring is mentioned 18 times in the lyrics of the song. Will, I gotta be honest.
You said it 18 times?
18 times. I love your reasoning though, Will.
You don't have to be married to wear a ring.
Thank you for making me feel less guilty about not giving you a bonus point there. So that does go to Josh. No, I think I'll just give it to Josh. Moving on to your next tree, redwood trees. Redwood trees are the tallest trees in the world. Their trunks alone grow up to 27 feet wide. The world's tallest tree, Hyperion, currently stands at 380.8 feet tall and continues to grow another 3.9 centimeters per year. However, there's a different redwood named Paradox that grows 18.9 centimeters per year and could steal the record for world's tallest tree as soon as 2031. Hyperion was found in a remote area of Redwood National Park, and although photos can be found online, the tree's exact location remains hidden. My question for you players is, how many people make up the record for the largest ever recorded game of hide and seek? I'm looking for any number of people here as an answer.
Wasn't it done in a whole city?
Largest recorded game of hide and seek. While they think, here's another fun fact for you. Not only can trees talk to each other through a series of fungi in the soil called a mycorrhizal network, but some trees can even walk. The walking palms of Ecuador move about 2 centimeters a day. As soil erodes, the tree grows new roots to find new solid soil, sometimes as far as 20 meters away. As the new roots settle, the tree bends towards those new roots and lifts the old roots into the air. It can take a couple of years for the tree to reach its destination, but the fact that it can get there at all on its own is unbelievable. All right, I got everyone's answers. Will, you think this game had a total of 25,000 people, which is buck wild. Equally as buck wild, just smaller, Josh, you think it had a total of 5,000 people in it.
I mean, Will made a good point. It could be in a city, and that's my guess too. It has to be in a city, right?
The answer, the world record for the largest ever recorded game of hide and seek had a total of 1,437 participants. So it was overshot this time, giving Josh the point. All right, players, your next tree, Old Chico. Old Chico is a 9,567-year-old Norway spruce that became famous as the world's oldest tree.
Whoa. So this isn't a type of tree, this is just one guy.
Yeah, this is one boy. However, that's not exactly what it seems. It's actually a clonal tree, and the 4th oldest clonal tree at that, that's regenerated new trunks, branches, and roots, rather than being one individual tree of great age. It's survived this long thanks to vegetation cloning, which means if the trunk itself dies, but the root system is still alive, it may sprout an entirely new trunk. My question for you, players, is, on average, how long does it take an axolotl to regenerate a limb?
Oh, that's not what that is. Okay, sounds good.
Old axolotl.
Old axolotl.
Oh, axolotl.
You know, if you only eat like 49% of a Long Boy Ramsey's, it'll grow back.
You can eat up to 40%, it'll still grow back?
49. You have to leave at least 51%.
My brain's been going back and forth between a long shortbread cookie and a gas station Slim Jim to
It's actually
stay at.
the perfect fusion of those two things. That's why it can regenerate.
It's
100% meat, 100% bread.
It's 100.
Yeah, it's
200% Ramsey.
Fun historical fact, in black and white movies, they used to only feed the actresses Long Boy Ramseys, and they'd start calling them Ramsels, and they would get addicted to them, and they would become angry when they didn't have them, and that's where the expression Ramsels in distress comes from.
Ramsels in distress.
All right, I got everyone's answers. Josh, I'm starting with you for reasons this time. Josh, you said you think it takes an axolotl 1 week to grow a limb back. Will, you said, and you didn't change your answer, you said it takes them 500 million years to regenerate.
Evolution takes a while.
You'll never guess who gets the point on this one. On average, it typically takes an axolotl 500 million years. No,
Wow, you got it.
99 million years.
45 days to regenerate a limb.
crap.
Shoot!
Axolotls can regenerate many body parts, including limbs, lungs, ovaries, and even parts of the brain and spinal cord. All right, players, your next tree, the baobab tree.
Oh, let's hope we get this one.
I think it's the baobab, but
Fun fact that you've now brought up, in England, it's pronounced baobab. In America, it's pronounced baobab. If you've ever heard of the tree of life, that's a baobab. This is because their extraordinary trunks can store up to 32,000 gallons of water, helping
crap.
themselves and many other animals survive droughts. They play a key role in their ecosystem, keeping soil humid, promoting nutrient recycling, and preventing soil erosion. Baobabs can be 80 feet tall with a circumference of 150 feet. They're often referred to as water trees or nature's water tanks. My question for you, players, is how many gallons of water does the Georgia Aquarium contain? I'm looking for any number of gallons, and for context, the Georgia Aquarium is the largest aquarium in the United States. Bear with me, guys. All right. I got from Will 21 milli. Wait, no, 500 million. And from
That might be right.
and Josh, you gave me one Long Boy Ramsey's tummy full. Or maybe 5 million. Gosh dang it.
We don't know the numbers.
The good news is one of you is at least the closest. So the Georgia Aquarium contains just over 11 million gallons of water.
Yeah,
So
I knew I wasn't close.
that is a point to Josh. The second largest aquarium in the United States, the Seas with Nemo and Friends in Walt Disney World, only contains half as many gallons of water. All right, players, it's time for your final minigame. For this minigame, all I'm asking is, if OG Sonic the Hedgehog was a tree, how old would he be?
had a lot of
OG
them, huh?
Sonic the
a
Hedgehog.
lot of them.
Like, what was the maximum you could
I
have at
don't know
one
if you-
given time?
In the old Sonics, I don't think there's a max. I think it's just however many are in each level.
Maybe it's throughout the whole game?
That's what I'm wondering, if it's either throughout the whole game or per level.
All right, I got both answers. Josh, you think that Sonic would be 2,000 years old. Will, you think Sonic would be 2,500 years old.
Oh,
Wow, dude, this is
Weird,
awesome.
So there's only 500 years difference between you guys. If OG Sonic the Hedgehog was a tree, he would be 4,230 years old, as the main levels contain 3,388 rings, and the special stages contain 842 rings, totaling
so
4,230 rings.
Dude.
That's a point to Will. All right, players, your final tree, The Wollemi pine tree. Thought to be extinct and only discovered to be alive in 1994, the Wollemi pine tree is a 200-million-year-old species, critically endangered with fewer than 100 of them left in Australia, making it one of the rarest trees on Earth. It's an ancient conifer, sometimes referred to as a living fossil or the dinosaur tree. The 2020 Gospers Mountain megafire nearly wiped out the last remaining native population, burning 1.2 million acres in its path. However, thanks to efforts from firefighters, they were able to set up irrigation systems to hydrate the environment, only losing a few of these trees to the fires. My question for you players is, how long was the neck of the Brachiosaurus? I'm looking for any number here as an answer. All right, I got both your answers. Will, you think that it could measure up to 88 feet long?
What?
Yeah, he's big guy.
On the other hand,
Hannah.
Josh, you think that it was only 15 feet long. So we've got a range once again. The answer is the neck of the Brachiosaurus could measure in at approximately 30 feet long. Fun fact.
But not 88.
Correct, but not 88. 88 feet,
88.
bit much. That's about the same length as 2 Volkswagen Beetles. That brings us to the end of today's game with a total of 10 points. Our winner today is Josh. Congratulations on receiving enough extra credit to get by today. As today's winner, we will be planting a forest of trees in your name to a forest of great need thanks to the Arbor Day Foundation. And it may not sound like much, but that is 120 trees that provides oxygen to an additional 480 people and is equivalent to removing 12 cars from the roads every year. Even the smallest contributions can go a long way. That's all the extra credit for today. I'm Zane Shaw, letting you all know that the dynamite tree, or sandbox tree, has fruit that explodes when it's ripe, and the seeds can travel over 60 feet at 150 miles per hour. It's amazing what you can learn with a little extra credit. Good night.